Hello everybody. I just have a big old stack of vinyl to share with you guys. God, every free second I had, the last like 2 weeks it seems, I've been fixing the house or dealing with the kids or working or whatnot, and I have not been able to make a video. Been trying. Finally, can breathe for a minute and make one, and I realized I have a lot to show. So, let's see if we can actually get through all of these, shall we? First couple ones I'm going to show I got from my local record store. Stop by. But I also have some eBay buys and some Discog finds and some new buys. So, I mean, just everything today. But first, let's show what I got at my local store. Right off the bat, Elvin Jones. Merry Go Round. Elvin Jones, of course, famous for being the drummer of John Coltrane. This is a later pressed Blue Note from like 71 or 2 something, with just a whole tremendous amount of players. On this you have Chick Corea, Jan Hammer, Gene Perla, Joe Farrell, Steve Grossman, Frank Foster, and David Liebman. Oh man, I couldn't pass it up. It was like $6. So for that price and that tremendous amount of players, I couldn't pass it up. It was a little more on the standardy side than I would have appreciated it to be, but still very, very tasty. Chick Corea does one song on here, La Fiesta, which is just classic Korea. Classic Korea song. Straubs, Burning for You, and No Madness. Love Straubs. Gotta love Straubs. And Focus 3. Sadly, not the European press, which has a much nicer cover, if you ask me, but, you know, whatever. And then John Coltrane, Kulu Se Mama. Woo! Been wanting this one for a while. Finally got my grimy little hands on it. That's what I got in my store. Now let's just dive right in. First one I got off Discogs. Found out about this band a couple months ago, and it's awesome. Japanese band. Green Milk from the Planet Orange. City Calls Revolution. Double album with just basically a song on each track, or I should say each side has a song. Side-length songs, long extended jams. Almost sort of a new progressive music. It's like stoner rock meets prog Japanese, punk noise with some spacey psychedelics mixed in there. Heavy raunchy album. Really, really happy. Got this pretty damn cheap with shipping. It was like $16. And I mean, it's from a French label, which I really like, Beta Lactam Ring. And that came out 2006. So if I were to buy this new from the French label, it would have been like $40. So for $16, it's steal. New Kawabata Makoto, Astrolove or Astrolove and Infinite Kisses. Double LP off of VHS Records. Never heard of the damn thing. Been like several years since Kawabata Makoto has done a solo LP, which is not like Acid Mother's Temple. He's the lead guitarist and creative force behind Acid Mother's Temple, but Acid Mother's Temple is crazy, freak out, noise. His solo albums are really pretty. Heavy use of guitar effects, guitar loops, very melodic with synth, and just very minimal for you think Acid Mother's Temple. I mean, he just gets on and he plays some synth. He does layers of guitar. Maybe a little bit of sort of back vocals in the you can't really even hear, but I mean, oh man, tasty. 40-minute track covers one entire disc. The opening album, just loop guitars. Absolutely love it. Empty Foxhole, Ornette Coleman. Got this for a couple bucks, I think, off of eBay or Discogs. I can't remember, but it features a very young Donardo Coleman on drums. I mean, look at, he's this little kid on drums. And when I'm listening to this the first time, it's like, the drums really stuck out to me because they seemed, at first it was like, either he doesn't know how to play or he's a fucking genius. And by the end of the album, I figured out he's just a fucking genius. But trio music on this, Ornette Coleman with Charles Hayden and Donardo Coleman on drums. I mean, whew, smoking free jazz album. A Way of Life with Jason, what the hell is this? Jason Ajamian, I guess. I got this because Rob Mazurk and Chad Taylor are on here, which are the Chicago Underground duo. Woo! Couldn't get that. Off of the No Business label out of Lithuania, which is an awesome label. This album ranges from very sort of a standard jazz feel to cresting over into a more free jazz, squonky noise. It really straddles the border between the two. Great jazz album. Great jazz album. All right, got a couple off of El Paraiso Records, which is another really cool label out of Denmark. So these did not come cheap, but let's get into it. Brian Ellis Group. Oh, look at the back. I love the back. Is that not? I mean, it just feels like it's something straight out of the 70s, which is exactly what this album sounds like. It's straight out of the 70s. Live recording, kind of a bit on the lo-fi feeling, but awesome fusion music. I mean, literally could come right out of 1973. Just fantastic. I think it's 4 tracks, so a bit long on the jam side. No vocals. The way a fusion album should be. Really excited when I heard that one come out. I love Brian Ellis. And another one, At Dusk, Brian Ellis with Brian Granger. This is just, it's a minimal guitar album. Acoustic guitar with some effects. Very, very pretty, almost bluesgrassy at times, which isn't a word I'd like to use, but sort of an ambient folk on this album. Very cool. Got 2 Papirs, live at Roadburn. Double album, but it's not a gatefold. I hate when it's not a gatefold and double album. But Papir, awesome band out of Denmark. The last few Orzen Space Collective albums has basically had the entire Papir band on it. Which, I love Orzen Space Collective and I love Papir, so I finally got my hands on getting around that. And then got the reissue of Papir 3 and 4 that they stuck together on one album. These came out separately, and then this year they repressed them together. So got around to that. And the last one I got from El Paraiso Records is a Shigagong. Sella. Oh, this album is, let's just say, unique in sound. It's all acoustic playing with like cello and flutes and percussion drums and clarinet and saxophone with, a little electric guitar and electronics and twing shaws and far out vocals. And the best way I could describe this is like a folk ambient space rock album, because it's played in like this folk style with everything being acoustic, natural sounding, but it's all like a one note ambient layer upon layer of noise. Oh, what a beautiful album. I wish I could describe it better, but that's all you're getting out of me. Got the new Elephant 9. Ooh! So excited. Love Elephant 9. I actually got a second and send it down to my my VCLT buddy. He sends me a record, I send him a record, and then he sends me another record, I send him another record. Roger, it's your turn to send me one. No, please don't, Roger. It's all good. But the new Elephant 9 with Ryan Fisk. Silver Mountain. And this, a 2 LP set with the gatefold. This is how it should be done. Off of wonderful, wonderful white vinyl, which I will show. This came off of the Room Gramophone label out of, what the hell is it called? Norway, which is another wonderful label. Elephant 9, great sort of post-rock, almost proggy band. I'm going to call it a space rock prog, because heavy use of organ and synthesizer with some heavy bass and loud drums and spaced out psychedelic guitar. I mean, from front to back, this album is awesome. Has a cover of "You Are the Sunshine of My Life," which is, by Stevie Wonder, which is it really sticks out because it's kind of the most mellow song on the album, but it's also so spaced out. Really excited whenever these guys come out with an album. I gotta pick it up. Finally got this record. Been wanting it for years. Finally found a nice, clean copy for the right price. Astro Black Sun Ra. Woo-hoo-hoo, baby. This is Sun Ra at some of his more funky. Great use of really funky congas and percussion with drums, with some, just trippy Sun Ra vocals. But also at the same time, very avant, spacey, noisy, squonky crap. Great album. Came off of Impulse, 1973. Been on the hunt for years. Song for Wounded Knee, the Richard Davis Trio. I picked this up blind just because I saw it somewhere and I thought, man, I gotta have it. Came off of the Flying Dutchman label, 1972, 73, also 1973. With it's Richard Davis with Joe Beck and Jack DeJohnette, and the album's sort of, I should say, what's the word I'm looking for? Dedicated to American Indians, Native Americans, and it's very minimal sounding. I expected it to be a bit more on sort of a fusion-y, jazzy sound, but in reality, Joe Beck with his acoustic guitar playing, at times it's almost this outback country thing going on, and at other times it's tremendously jazzy and free jazz experience. So it's a cool album. I'm glad I bought it, but yeah, a blind buy, which I don't really do most of the time, but Song for Wounded Knee. You guys see it? Don't hesitate. Speaking of Jack DeJohnette, New Rags, Jack DeJohnette Directions. Anything Jack DeJohnette I can get, I always pick up. And oh yes, I do believe this is a white label promo. Everybody loves the white label promos. ECM release 1970. God knows what the who hell cares. 1977. Jack DeJohnette's Directions, awesome fusion music. This album has John Abercrombie with Alex Foster and Mike Richmond. From front to back, this album is awesome, especially the closing track, Stepping Through, written by Alex Foster, which is just has some of the best sax playing I've ever heard from him. Almost a free jazz song, but more of just a progressive jam. A really cool album. New Acid Mother's Temple, Benzaiten, if I'm pronouncing that properly. Double LP album that is not in a gatefold. Can't do it right. Important Records can't do it right. Nonetheless, this album is basically a tribute album. It's a cover album of I forget the guy's name, but a Japanese artist by the album with the same name, by Benzaiten. I guess you pronounced it properly. Cool, clear vinyl. Oh, translucent, not clear. But it covers I think the whole album of this guy, I can't remember his name. Oh, I wish I could remember. It should be written here. Kitajima? Something Kitajima. I can't even remember. Unyama Kitajima? Something like that. I can't remember. But covers that whole album. And then also throws in, for good measure, some actual Acid Mother's Temple covers. Acid Mother's Temple written songs. And this album is kind of weird because at times it's this beautiful, noisy, loud, progressive, freak out album. And at other times, it's this weird, just noise experimentation, like, what the hell are you doing album. It is trippy, it is out there, and, I mean, it's Acid Mother's Temple. I fucking love them, so I'm not going to say anything bad about them. Get it, get it, get it. Branda Brora, if I pronounce that properly. Roper Poa Vinden. Anders label, Signal and Sound. His the new LP he puts out. Free jazz, fantastic wonderfulness. This is 45 speed. I only listened to one side of it. I gotta be honest. I haven't spun the whole thing yet. Thus why the record's still out. But I mean, this is wonderful. Not really like a freak out, because it definitely has a melodic edge to it, but you know, squonky, noisy, free jazz, masterful playing that I wish I was even like a tenth the credit of these guys. But awesome album. Johnny Lytle, People in Love, by recommendation of former Astral Traveler himself, John Coltrane 69. Chris, of course, when he says to get something, you pick it up. This is a great funky jazz album. Oh, really damn good. Arthur Blythe, Blythe Spirit. Picked this one cheap. Love Arthur Blythe. And the last few I got to show, getting to the bottom. I got today in the mail. Brian Jackson and Gil Scott-Heron, Winter in America. Finally got my hands on this one. Been looking everywhere for it, but you could never find like a clean copy. This album is infamous for, you know, just ringware, but nonetheless, great, funky, soulful, you know, spiritual music. Absolutely love it. John Coltrane with Archie Shepp. New thing at Newport. Impulse. Oh, and look, it is so wonderfully pristine. The cover is like, it hasn't really ever been touched. It's an interesting label too. It's a Canadian press, Spartan, or yeah, Spartan. Spartan Impulse, yellow label, Canadian press, which I'm sure will tingle the likes of Dr. Deadwax. But yeah, this is basically a split album. John Coltrane does one long track on the front side and four other songs with Archie Shepp on the other side. Actually, I didn't know he was on here, but Burray Phillips does bass with Archie Shepp, which really tingled my fancy there. I was like, woohoo! I really enjoy his playing. And I did not know he was on this album. Oh, and a mono press as well, I should mention. Eric Dolphy, Outward Bound. I actually have a reissue of this, but when I saw this one for cheap, you know, I had to get it. This isn't even a first press. This is a second press from '64 off of Prestige, but all is well. And the last one I got to show, been wanting this one for a while and held off on getting it. Finally got around to getting it. Dweezil Zappa's Return of the Son of. This is a 3LP live recording of him doing Zappa Plays Zappa. The first time he did Zappa Plays Zappa, which was in like 2008 or 2007. Something like that. I can't really remember, but it's all good. This is a vinyl reissue from 2011, I think, off Music on Vinyl. Great album. I saw them live the first time they came around, and it was just, what a good show. So I've really been wanting to get my fingers on this one, and you know, I finally found one at a price I was willing to pay. So love some Diesel Zappa. That's all I got to show. You know, thank you all for bearing with me. I know I'm horrible. I've been on a buying frenzy lately, and I just let all this crap back up and